for me, okay? And where I was at, I do believe they would have found me. However, other people knew that this was going to be the case, that this, I guess, meeting was going to happen, like divine appointment. And so I was harassed yesterday by policy enforcers, a regular like sergeant, and then the chief of police, who was a melanated brother, which is kind of crazy because this this g- man who's the police chief, like, switched up. Okay, he had been coming in attempting to actually befriend me, right? Which I'm gonna just keep it 1,000. I ain't never trust the police, okay? And that's why I know that when I was younger and in foster care, one of the placements they placed me with was with a policy enforcer as my foster dad, so that they could humanize police to me, right? Because I was. If you listen to my stories, y'all know who I was actually raised around. So of course I didn't trust the police at zero capacity. So me even allowing this, man to be in my, you know, vicinity like that was something in itself. Okay. For him to switch up. So the thing is that in a conversation early in the AM, he was in his regular, off duty attire. And he had attempted to state something in which I quickly corrected, which was, you know, and he tried to say it in a joking way of how I, you know, create like problems or like um problematic. I don't know. He said something to the effect that I was creating problems or whatever. And I was like, I don't know how I would be creating problems when I stay to myself and I mind my business. I'm working on my own things and I'm not like, you know, like literally when he was speaking to me, I was like sweeping up leaves, okay, and bagging them up. So I was just like, I don't even let people joke around about things like where they're attempting to slander or defame my character. So I quickly, like, how do I say, like, corrected it, right? And then I was like, the only people that I could be making some kind of problem for is because I am a ball of light. I am a big, bright ball of light. And the people that are affected by me, it's because I'm disturbing their demons. So why did this man literally state that he was going to tell his subordinate officers, because this is the chief of police, melanated brother. He stated that he was going to tell his subordinate officers that when they call him in the middle of the night while he's asleep, this just sounds crazy, and disturb his sleep, that exactly what I just said about disturbing people's demons. Okay. And then like a little while later, as he's walking off and we're ending the conversation, he literally stated that I disturb his demons. And I told him, oh no, you got to this is what I told him. I said, oh no, you got to face those demons. I said, I'm a demon slayer. I can help you. And he didn't seem to want any help, with slaying them demons. And then flipped a switch later on, and actually, under threat, duress, and coercion, I was like pretty much forced to leave the area that I had been studying, working on some things for my work as well as for the betterment of my situation. And so I was just like there's other conversations that we have had in the past that he knows that I'm actually working on those things. So I'm just like, that I actually don't cause problems. So what is this all about? This is so strange. What happened yesterday? And so I was like, there's really no reason that I should have been treated that way unless they was up to some shit yesterday. And they needed me out of the area so they could do whatever they was trying to do. Because the math was not mathing at all. Okay. And then allegedly there had been some complaints made to specific I guess alleged authorities, not just the policy enforcers, aka the police, which I called 911. I called 911. I was like, and when I was speaking to dispatch, I was like, I specifically asked, I stated, were there any complaints that came through dispatch about me? And the dispatch said, well, first of all, they were trying to go all around the question. And that's how I knew like it was some bullshit too. And then when he finally answered the question, because I was asking it directly, specifically, and he was like bobbing and weaving all around the question. And so when he actually answered it, he stated no, that there had been no complaints made to the dispatch through 911. And he was like, oh, well, they might have called the non-emergency line. I was like, no, usually people just, if they're going to call and make a complaint, they're still going to call 911. Right. But none of these individuals that were involved, to include the, alleged chief, would state for the record, on the record, and for the record to reflect who these people were, right? Because I lawfully have the right and legally have the right to know who my accusers are. And if it is slander and defamation of my great character, then I have the right and grounds to know who these people are, so that if it is untrue, which I'm 1000% sure is untrue, then I can seek remedy, because now they have made me an injured party where I was unlawfully, illegally harassed yesterday based off of their false accusations, bearing false witness, slander and defamation, because they obstructed me from doing the things that I was already scheduled to do. It was a disruption of my work, of my education. It was, so it's absolutely unacceptable. So anyways, if somebody was looking for me, most likely you went to the right place. And they knew you were coming to the right place. And so they wanted to have me removed from that place so that we wouldn't meet. Okay. So if you knew where that place was, I'm back. I'm back there. I'm back at that place. And I'm not going to say what the place is. If you know, you know. And if you were there, you were there. And if you were there, just know that I wasn't there, because these fuckers had something up their sleeve to, pull this little orchestration conspiracy against me yesterday. Right? And I actually stated to the chief of police, I was like, that he would be held liable at his public and private capacity at the maxims of law. And he was like, I don't mind if you do that. I was like, as a melanated brother, I just like that. Like, would you do that or allow somebody to do that? Because he has a daughter. Would he allow somebody to treat his own daughter like that? Like another brother that was maybe in his position, right? Because karma don't miss nothing. So what you did, you don't mind if it happens to me what you did, which was totally outlandish, totally unprofessional, totally unacceptable, right? What you did was what he did was, you know, very he was very unapologetically violating my rights, right? And so I was just like, as a melanated brother, what I'm thinking is like, they usually send your own after you. When it's melanated people, they usually, incite a brother or sister to come for the brother or sister, right? But that he had no honor and integrity in what he was doing, and even at bare minimal heart for a sister that's actually, you know, working so hard to better her situation. Like, it's just disgusting. Honestly, it's disgusting. This is not how our community was. And to have people in our community, it's giving all kinfolk ain't skinfolk. That's what it's giving. And the when he found out that I played women's professional football, he asked to take a photo with me so he could show his daughter, be like, oh, I know people, like, whatever. So it's just like, at this point, I'm thinking he probably put that photo on the altar. Okay. Yeah, for all I know, he put it on the altar. If he did, I call my ancestors and my guardian angels and the archangels, the Galactic Federation, the cherub angels, the death angels, as well as the what there was another branch of angels I want to incite. Anyways, it escapes me right now, but they know who they are because I just thought about, you know. So, anyways, all of the ones that want only the best for me, I'll give this over to them. And my bloodline who only wants the best for me, my ancestors who only want the best for me, I give them full authority to war on my behalf to known and unknown enemies, waging known and unknown war. Ashe, oh shay, ashe. So, baby, I'm just saying, it was an orchestration that definitely was for a specific purpose and for a specific time. Okay. And I'm quite sure that it was because of a divine appointment that these mofos looked up you know, uh, whether it was the astrology of when the stars were aligning for this divine appointment, or they did some kind of scry. I don't know what the hell they did, but however they get their information, whether it was doing necromancy and speaking to the dead, or whatever they was doing to get the information, they knew when it was, and they literally did everything that they could to have me unlawfully, under threat, duress, and coercion, moved out of the area that I was, and it was for a purpose. And I know it can't be for no graveyard magic, death magic, or hitman or whatever, because them I've been dismantling that shit myself. So I know it can't be because of that. I know it wasn't because it was. I mean, unless they want to come clean and tell me it was about something like legitimately righteous, it definitely seemed unrighteous and dishonorable. Okay. But anyways, I'm not gonna, as they say, run it up. I'm gonna end this right now. Peace. Oh, and by the way, the moral of the story is that I'm back. And wherever it was that you was at, looking for me, I'm there.